Hey guys, and welcome back to InventBox, where the solution is right around the corner. Kevin here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to use Blender as a video editor. Now, I have used Blender, and I actually have a series of tutorials on how to use Blender, but I had no idea you could use it to actually edit videos like you would with iMovie. I know it had a video editor, but I didn't realize it was that powerful. So let's get started. Whenever you get into Blender first, you're going to notice that all there is a three-dimensional square. Now, you of course don't really want this, so you can't edit videos. So let's go up here to where it says default, click there, and then in this drop down you want to select video editing. And here I already have a video placed in. It's just a normal MKV that you'd get right out of your recorder. And you don't really want your Blender to start up in this screen, because then you have to go through the hassle of going all the way to the video editor. So what you can do is, first of all, we don't really want this this graph here. We won't be using that. So change with this here, go up to properties, and we can shrink that just a little more, like that. So now that we have this is kind of the layout that we'll want every time we open Blender. So what you can do is click File and Save Startup File. So and then if you do that, it will, now if you X out of Blender and then reopen, it will take you right to this, right to your video editor. So let me show you some of the basics of how to use this and other tools that you would have in every other video editor. So say I want to cut my video. So you may be, so whenever you import any video, there's always two strips. This here is the sound, and then this is actually the video. So we're going to cut the video by going down here to strip, and in Blender, it's kind of weird. It's different from any other program. You have to right click to select stuff. So it takes some getting used to, but you'll definitely get the hang of it if you do it enough. So right click the video one, go over here to strip, and there's two different types of cuts that you can see here. There's a soft cut and a hard cut. So first we'll go with a soft cut. Now what that does is, if I now select this and drag it away a little bit, like right there, if I select this, what I think I should be able to do is, oh wait, no, right here. So I think I should be able to click and see. I can drag this now, so I can bring it back to where it was, or I can bring it like this, but I can still move it. Same with this one. I can extend the video, and that's actually adding back to the video of stuff that's right here. So that's what a soft cut does. Undo the cuts. Okay, so now what you can do is, actually whenever you cut them, you want to select both. So by clicking shift, or it probably really doesn't matter, but okay, so then go over here to strip, and what a hard cut does is, once I take these, and if I move them over, right there, you'll notice that we can't adjust the end. It's actually it's not adjusting it. That's just adding a blank freeze frame screen, which really it's different from a soft cut, because a soft cut's actually adding back to the video of stuff you cut off. So me in particular, I would usually just use a soft cut because it never hurts to be able to have that adjustment and fine tuning. But whatever you're working on, it definitely depends on the context. You can use a hard cut. So let's undo these cuts again. Okay, now let's say you want to render your video. You got it all cut up and chopped up, and now you want to render it. So up here in your properties bar is where you're gonna render the video. So if your computer has a graphics card, which mine does, you can go over here in the render tab and see if we can grab the, yeah, there we go. I particularly like it a little more like that. Okay, it really helps to have a graphics card. Everything renders faster, so if you're thinking you're going to be doing a lot of Blender stuff or rendering it, you definitely might want to consider getting a graphics card. So we have all of these settings. Now you don't need to pay too much attention to them, but these numbers here that are on your timeline, this says how many frames it is long. So this is 15,152 frames long. So I'm going to adjust the end frame. So there's a starting frame and an end frame. So what you would use this for in Blender if you were animating a three-dimensional object, which Blender can do in the default tab. Then you could set how long and how short you'd want it to be. But for this, it's going to be a lot longer, and the videos tell you how many frames it is. And you can adjust it by clicking these arrows to move it up, or clicking them to move it down. Or, of course, you can just click on it and edit it and type in whatever number you want. So what we're going to do is type in the number that's on this up here, which is 15,152. And now that's lined up exactly to the back of those. And if you want to select everything, just hit A and deselect it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now I think we want to switch this to Cycles Render, because Blender Render is a little outdated. It's not as modern. They've done more updates to Cycles. So Cycles Render is the one that you want, and it gives you a little more options. Now for device, I'm going to change it to GPU, which is my graphics card, but if you don't have one, CPU will work just fine. So don't worry about that. Now we're going to choose where we want it to save. So let's go here into my movies, or yeah, let's save it here. And now if we tell it to render, you know what, I'm going to save this right here in my videos folder. So if we have it saved there, we can check everything, make sure it looks good. And this is just for if you have a graphics card. Go down here to Performance, and under Hilbert Spiral, change it to a very big number like 2048, because graphics cards work better if they're rendering large areas rather than small areas. So now we have all the settings set. Of course, you can change your resolution to whatever you want, but we're just keeping it at right now 1080p, and we'll click Render. So there's actually one more thing I just remembered that we have to change, and we don't want it to render as a ping. We want it to render as an FFmpeg video. Now, this will be different for different operating systems. I'm using a Linux operating system, Ubuntu, but if you're using Windows like most of the other people, you could do different movie files. And there's other tutorials explaining that a little more in depth, and I'll probably do one of those. So I'm going to change it to FFmpeg video. And once we have that, go ahead and click render. And it should start rendering. Actually, you don't want to just click render because that's going to render one frame. You want to click render animation. So now it's going to go through and render each frame. So this is your progress bar, and this normally takes a decent amount of time, especially since we have 15,000 frames. So just give it some time and let it render. So this is going decently fast. And the frame rate here, if I change this to 60, that would just play the video back faster. It would actually change the amount of frames that it does per second. It won't actually make it higher resolution or anything like that. So while it's rendering, if you haven't checked out my Blender series on how to actually use Blender as a 3D graphics software, you might want to check that out because it's pretty cool. It's a really useful tool if you want to use Blender. So I'll get back to you guys whenever this is done rendering. Okay guys, so it just finished rendering, and that's kind of a funny picture that we have it on there. That was something I applied a texture to. So now that it's done rendering, what we're gonna do is go into our files, and we can check it out. So we just rendered it. Let's see, which one is it? Probably this one that I didn't name. So here it is, all rendered, and I know it's not the highest quality. It's also because whenever it gets recorded over twice, it just kind of gets messed up. But so I hope this video was useful. I definitely kind of was surprised when I heard that Blender was a video editor. I wouldn't expect it to be able to do stuff like this, but it can. So if it was useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.